You're a good person. It's important that I tell you that. This entire podcast is built around an acronym that I made for the word yield. It stands for Yes, I Envision Love Demonstrated. This acronym has helped me a ton in my work, school life, and in pursuing my passions and being able to help other people, as well as growing my habits and becoming a better person. My biggest hope is that this podcast will help you to treat the opportunities and the people in your life differently. Learn to yield today, and it'll be a better tomorrow. What's up, everybody? This is Dallin, Candland. We are back with Yield Today, episode number 26. Yes, so the beautiful break is over for me, and I'm back in school. So I wanted to share some quick tips for people and just some ideas about starting new, starting afresh that I feel like could really help some people. Some things I've learned and just some thoughts that I have looking forward. So let's jump into it. First thing is that when you're starting anything new, it's cool because you're automatically starting at a point where you can go anywhere. So that first little bit, you usually are really excited. So when I was starting running, I didn't like running at all, but I was learning about there's distance running and there's sprinters. Like I didn't really think about that, how there's that difference from the very beginning. There was this learning process. And I was immediately like, yeah, I'll be a distance runner. That sounds good. But we still did some sprinting drills for distance running. And I got to know my team really well. And some of them have been running for a long time. And I learned different things from them. Fast forward a couple years and I got all right at running. And now I'm in a position where I can instruct and give basic to medium advice for getting better at running, which is super cool. But there was a lot of difficulties and a lot of hard times, I guess, throughout that learning and growing process. I think one of the easiest times, I think I talked about this on an earlier episode, one of the easiest times to quit is right before you start and right after you start. You can get overwhelmed with all the information, all the different things. So my advice is to start really small. A good example is with this podcast. Okay, just kidding. I'd done some podcasting on my own just to try it out, but none of it was public. It was just personal for me. And yeah, so I had some experience there. But as far as like this public arena and looking at stats and researching episodes, I hadn't really done that, So I was starting kind of from ground zero. But now I can definitely, now I could probably give some basic advice for people wanting to get better at podcasting. So it's pretty awesome. Just how that growth process has been able to happen. And when you practice at something and you get good, then you're able to instruct people and teach people, maybe even train people and get paid, or at least you'll get a sense of satisfaction. So that's like one of the main reasons that I personally feel like it's important to try new things and to do better, is because there's an opportunity to help people. And you also get to really enjoy it. Like for me personally, when I feel like I just am not really progressing in life, or I just feel kind of down, it's usually because I've kind of gotten lax about something that I was trying to learn. Lately, I've been trying to learn juggling, and I've been trying to get some advice from this guy who streams Smash Bros, but he also is a professional juggler. And maybe I could get him on the podcast sometime. I don't know. He's a cool guy. And he gave me some advice so I could juggle better. And he has a ton of experience. So of course I'm going to listen to him. That's such a cool thing to me. That guy cares so much about his craft that he wants to help me get to a higher level too. Maybe I won't get to the same level as him, but I'll get to have joy and enjoy what he's doing. And that's a big part of what Yield Today is all about. Yes, I envision love demonstrated. So I'm going to do something about that love. I'm going to do something about that vision that I see. And that's crucial. So that's one of the big takeaways, becoming somebody that can reach out to people, and you just have joy in being able to help in that little way. The other thing that I wanted to talk about super fast is how each of these habits, each of these different things, they all have different worlds, different lingo, different heroes, and different history. So like different world, like the world of running is so different than the world of Scooby-Doo, for example. There's the different actors for Scooby-Doo. There's the different movies. But with running, you've got Usain Bolt. You've got Michael Bowling recently in high school. And there's all these different things. There's different words that mean different things, like a baton. That means different things in running than it does in, like, I don't know, England. Well, I guess that's probably a different kind of baton, but, like, you know what I mean? The police officers in England hold that baton. And it's cool for me to be a part of that. And you get to speak a different language in a way, and you get to relate to people. And I found that all of these niche things, they have this kind of lingo. Like even podcasting has some of that stuff. I haven't learned a lot of it, granted, because I haven't been around long enough. I've only been doing podcasting in the public arena for about 8 months. So clearly I'm only 8 months old. I haven't learned that much. I can't even speak yet, but I am speaking. Anyway, that's another big thing. So also there's different heroes. You get to learn about different people and different, like, the history of the sport or the habit, or you can even start your own thing like Spikeball. That's so big now. It's professional. Like, it's gone so mainstream, and it started with these guys who just had something fun, and they got on Shark Tank, and that was a good win for them. And yeah, it just completely blew up from there. And there's this cool history with it. And when you grow, when you're part of this network of followers and a tribe of believers, there's this history involved. Even with this podcast, there is this history involved. You should know that I started this podcast in college, and I had a really good time working on a potato farm. And one day I was just like, you know what? I'm doing it. I'm just going to do it right now. And then very next day, I got the episode out. So that's the legend. And not only that, before that, I recorded my own personal podcast just about college, about life, with the intention to share them with my future kids. I did that for like at least a year or so. And I still do that here and then, even though I have an actual podcast. That blessing, like, is still giving, so it's super sweet. So you don't want to miss out on that. You don't want to miss out on that. I'm trying to learn about music now, making little 8-bit music. And you can learn about different people. And the cool thing too is, like, people that are really passionate about what they do, they just have a good perspective on life. I've been talking with this guy on LinkedIn who's getting into game design. I'm probably going to have him on a podcast episode. So definitely subscribe to the podcast. You will not want to miss his perspective. It is just really blew my mind, honestly. He just told me about how he's really enjoyed the process and the puzzle of his life, and just being able to, to work, and his experience with a bunch of different art programs and graphic programs, and all this is coming together. And he's learned these things. He started when he was really young, and he had this vision, and he's worked towards that. And sure, it hasn't gone completely according to plan, but he found some people. He got some mentors, people that were above where he currently was, and they lifted him up. When you lift other people up, this is probably the biggest thing I want you to take away from this episode. We rise by lifting others. That's just how it is, and sometimes you have to be very careful to not bite more than you can chew. But at the same time, from my experience, if you're not lifting others, it's really hard to grow. Like, I don't know, like, it really is much easier to learn and to grow if you're sharing what you're learning with people. That's like such a good life hack in general. If you want to grow rapidly in something, start a podcast about it, start a YouTube channel about it, start a blog about it, start an Instagram about it. All these things will get you to dive deeper into the world, the history, the heroes, everything about that thing, and you will just grow to love it. And that's another cool success tip and life tip. If you learn more about something, you're going to get more passionate about it. That's just kind of how it is. I remember with podcasting when it was just like, I saw the Buzzsprout thing and I was like, yeah, that looks kind of cool. And I listened to podcasts. But now that I'm running my own, I know some of the stuff behind the scenes that goes on that people don't think about. And it's just really cool. It's really cool. So yeah, it's awesome. And this is the perfect time to just get going with some kind of side hustle or just learning something. You don't even have to post stuff about it. You just make a little bit of progress each day and it'll add up. Dude, it will add up so big. Like I kept running, and over a 3 season period, I ended up going so far beyond where I thought I could go. I started with a 7-minute mile my sophomore year, and I got it down to a 5:39 my very last meet in high school. I never thought I could get that far, but I had great coaches. I had God, of course. I was learning different things. I was enjoying the process and trusting the process. And now here we are. I went on a run this morning, and it was really good, and it was hard, but I did it. And I went on that run to celebrate somebody who's very special to me, and his name's Derek Davis. April 20th, 2015, while on a run with his wife, he was struck by an underage driver who was under the influence of some drug, and he passed in the hospital a week later. But he ran in the Boston Marathon. He was such a good person. And I remember so well when we had this one youth activity and he had us all come together. We got in these groups, right? We had to write one good thing about each of the people in our group. And I was amazed what some people said about me. It's like confidence or whatever, and it was just really cool. And I remember that. And I remember so many other great things that he did. And to this day, like, his memory is still being honored. There's a scholarship fund now that supplies money and gives these scholarships to runners who need the money. And it's just amazing. And Derek Davis, he trusted God. And not only that, he chose to dig deep into his passion. He continued to learn and grow. And whether that was his knowledge of God, his love for his family, his love of running, he was a programmer, so his love of that, he was continuously learning and growing and loving. And it just was amazing when you got to see him. Every single time I saw him, he would say hello, and just see how I was doing. It wouldn't always be by name, but he'd always, just say hi. And that meant a lot, that adds up over time. I wanted to give a quick shout out to him. His families continue to be super strong in their faith and their love for Christ and for all people, and they just continue to serve and love just like he did. And it's just so inspiring and amazing to me, and I'm so thankful for the Davis family and how inspirational and helpful they've been for me in my life. Love you all. And I'm so glad to know that because of God's plan and because of what Christ did for each of us, we'll get to see Derek again. Those are kind of my main thoughts today, guys. Start a side hustle, start something new, go for it, yield today. And yeah, I would love to hear your progress with it. Hit me up on Instagram at DreamChaserDallin or at Yield Today with Dallin podcast. I'm really going to start using my Instagram stories more, and I'm going to try to get the community on here more involved, because the way I see this is we need to get this community talking more, and a lot of that is on me. So if you haven't already, just leave a review on iTunes, subscribe to the podcast. Really helps me get content out, and I just would love to hear more about you guys and your experiences. So thank you all so much for listening, and let me just wrap up this episode super fast in just a quick 20-second version. Make sure that you are running towards something. I want you to be learning from the best people. I want you to be continually learning about the things that you love doing. And I know that if you are continuing to learn about those things, that you'll be able to help people. You'll be able to serve people, and you'll be able to enjoy life more. Not only that, you might discover something that you didn't know you loved. So it's so important that you continue learning and growing, and that you try new things. I'm still trying out new things because I want to learn a lot about this wonderful world, and I want to learn more about the wonderful people who've lived in it and the mark they made, and hopefully make my own mark and leave a legacy. Thank you all so much for listening. Hope you liked that little 1-minute rundown. I hope that was good. Thought that was fun to try. Love you guys. Thanks for listening. I will see you next Monday. Don't forget to yield today, and it will be a better tomorrow.